So at the age of 12, I was standing at the edge of a new world. My first summer camp. But as a kid with autism, socializing was a puzzle that I haven't quite put together yet. And my symptoms were flaring under stress, which made every interaction feel like a high stakes game. I had few friends and relied heavily on routine. So, being suddenly dropped off in this middle of the woods place with a bunch of strangers around, it filled me with dread. Now, my parents told me that I would meet new people and I would have a new experience, and that if I always wanted to come home, I could write to them. I could always write a letter because they told us, because the counselors, the people running the camp, told us that I could write to them if I ever wanted to go home. So they said their goodbyes to me, and they went off. And I met with my counselors, who greeted me cheerfully, but it felt forced, in that artificial warmth couldn't pierce my anxiety. So, but to also give a basic setup of what the camp kind of looked like, there were not cabins, there were tents. And these tents didn't have heaters or any way besides a tiny fire outside the tents to keep us warm. And the blankets were very thin, so they couldn't keep us cold, and they couldn't keep us warm. And despite being in the summer, it got really cold at night. So, already not a very good start. But of course, every group is supposed to have 2 counselors. But one of the counselors for my group, a group of me and 6 other guys, one of the counselors couldn't make it. So the counselor that could make it basically brought his very rude brother, who was very rude and took all of his time, so he couldn't be a counselor like half to most of the time. But yeah, let's just get on to the next day, which is when all the real trouble began, because every group, every morning of the week went to this building, which acted as the breakfast hall, and it was chaos, particularly with my group deciding to bang on the table, singing, we are Walmart. And the vibrations almost caused my drink and food to almost spill off the table, causing me to have to hold them. And they wouldn't stop all breakfast. So then eventually breakfast ended, and all the groups went off to do activities that the counselors would guide them through. But our counselor was too busy taking care of his brother, and we kind of just sat there wandering around until another counselor had to come and guide us to some other activities. So far, not bad, right? But that night, the my tent mates, how do I put this? Started talking about weird stuff which very crude subjects which I did not know anything about at the time, but just knew they were wrong. Other than that, Monday was good in comparison to the rest of the week. Speaking of which, Tuesday, basically the same morning thing with the breakfast and them saying we are Walmart. But this time the activities were zip lining and rock climbing. I did not like those because I have a fear of falling and getting very injured, so I did not participate in those activities. And as you can imagine, the same thing with the counselor happened. So besides those, and the fact that I was already feeling like an outsider and isolated from everyone else, having fun, we also, the same thing kind of repeated for Monday in between those activities, and same thing that night as happened Monday night. Wednesday night, we were informed that we would be going on a surprise hike. Awesome, right? Except none of us had shoes. No one in the group in the thing had shoes because we didn't know we would be going on a hike. We just had like flops or sandals and stuff. And we were very unprepared with with supplies for a 1 to 2 hour hike to a lake. So everyone pretty much got makeshift supplies, and we went off marching or hiking to the lake. Now everyone was hiking and also talking, socializing, except me, because every time I tried to join a conversation, they ignored me. So I basically had to spend 1 or 2 hours walking with everyone else, but still by myself. And it kind of made me feel very ignored. But I will admit, the lake was pretty good. Pretty cool. Especially the kayaking, the volleyball. It was all cool. But we were hiking back at night, like 7, it was around 7 or 8 p.m. when we made our way back, when I started getting a little coughing. And I tried to tell the counselors, but they basically told me to stop whining. Okay. So I had to listen to authority figure because, I was taught to always listen to authority figure, and so I pretty much stopped complaining about my symptoms. Thursday morning, I realized something. No one had ever told us where the showers were, so none of us had showered for the entire week so far. And beside the usual activities, I got a letter from my grandma, who basically told me that she hopes I'm having fun and stuff, and she loves me. I asked to write back because, hey, I wanted to go home now. And the counselor said, no. Wait a minute. Didn't you tell me and my parents that I could always write back? No. Whatever. Besides, it's only like 1 more 2 more days, so it can't be that bad, right? Anyways, but we were informed that the next day, on Friday, we would perform a little skit. So we basically had to repeat all the activities from Monday and Tuesday, but also come up with ideas for the skit, which took us a while somehow. And that night they were talking about weird stuff. But this time, the counselor heard it along with his brother. So, you would think they would stop it, right? No, they joined in. You would think. But, so yeah, Friday. At this point, throughout Thursday and now up to this morning on Friday, I was coughing a lot more and feeling way worse. And I was also kind of starting to get a fever too, and my throat was very sore, but I tried to tell the counselors again. They basically told me to stop whining, stop making a big deal, and be a man. Bro, I'm 12, but whatever. Guess, again, authority figure, taught to listen to them, so I listened. And we ended up performing a skit. What was the skit? Basically 30 seconds of us doing a dab. It works. But luckily, the next day was Saturday and we get to go home. Yes! So yeah, my parents picked me up, but by that time I was a shadow of my former self because I was very sick. I was coughing, my throat was sore, fevers, and I had still not taken a shower all week. None of us had. So, yeah, also, it turned out that they also did have showers there. The counselors just never bothered to tell us. We thought they would. Anyway, so the next week I went to the doctor because, yay. You know, it was a regular checkup thing. Guess what? I had strep throat, so, yeah. So then I ended up telling my parents about all the conditions we had to be in, and they were kind of angry, especially that I couldn't write back to them. And the fact that the cold and stuff probably resulted in me getting strep throat. So yeah, that was kind of not good. And I never ended up going to summer camp again. And it also worsened my anxiety about talking to people because I ended up not being very social with people for years after that, because I thought I would just be ignored and overlooked and no one would care about what I said. But I did get something out of it. That being that you can't always trust authority figures because sometimes they could be wrong. And sometimes you have to stand up for yourself no matter who it is, and you even sometimes have to ask questions without waiting for them to be asked for you. If I would have known this, I might have had a little better time at the camp, but now that I know this, it has helped me learn to be better, to be a better person for it.